It's that time. We have now reached the last award of the day, and it is truly an honor to bestow this award on such a deserving individual. Here's what some of her peers had to say about her impressive work. Please turn your attention to the screens.
Organizations invariably take on the characteristics of their leaders. And so when you have someone that has a great deal of integrity, that exhibits those leadership skills, knows how to actually lead, it makes all the difference in the world.
A good association leader is someone who recognizes that they can't do this work alone, that there's a need for a village.
I'm always drawn to players who are able to bring out the best in those that are around them. And I think all good leaders need to do that. It's not just about their personal excellence, but there's something about them that raises the level of those around them. And I think Arlene does that. And she's very explicit about it. She says, I want people who bring their best every day.
One thing that Arlene always says is whatever accolades she receives, she really believes that she's not receiving them only as an individual, but that it's a collective, it's the association that's getting the award. And so having that kind of a voice and mindset and perspective and sharing that with others is really important.
Arlene is this bundle of energy. Once I told her that she was wearing me out. She told me that it was energizing for her to have her hand in lots of things. Not because she needs to, but because she wants to. She wants to know. She wants to be involved.
Arlene deserves this award for so many reasons. She works harder than just about anybody I've known. Even on her birthday, one time I walked in and at 7 o'clock I go, Arlene, go home, celebrate your birthday. She also is very committed to the association community, which I think is an important piece of this. She really sees the importance of these organizations that help move so many aspects of our life in a positive and aligned direction.
ASHA is one of the largest associations, and she is very committed to the association. So I really value and respect that, and I know that she always has the professions, the association in mind.
When I think of associations, I think of all the things that associations touch. From the clothes we wear, to the cars we drive, to the food we eat, to the medical procedures we have, just about everything we touch every single day has been influenced by an association. And so recognizing the work that association executives does, to me, just further emphasizes and reinforces the great work that associations do in making the world a better place. Arlene is the consummate association professional. She's been very active in a number of association activities and the association community around Washington and around the country. She's just a terrific all-around person, very genuine and sincere, and a very good friend as well.
Arlene is in many ways sort of the quintessential CEO. She is very, very dedicated. A lot of people say they love their work, but you can kind of tell there are a lot of days when they don't love their work. I think Arlene loves her work just about every day.
Well, Arlene is pretty unique in my experience. It just really walks the talk. She doesn't expect anything of the staff that she isn't willing to do herself.
Arlene is one of those leaders who is very giving and very supportive. She is a great coach, willing to talk you through something, not give you the answers, but help you come to the answers yourself.
She has really nurtured me in my career path. I have learned so much from her, and I just appreciate all that she's done for me as well as for the whole association. Congratulations, because this is just a huge honor and it is so well deserved. She's exceptional and she deserves this exceptional recognition.
So Arlene, thank you for all that you do and contribute to not only the association community at large and ASHA as an organization, but thank you for the work that you've done with coaching me, and I'm so proud of you, and congratulations on receiving this much-deserved reward.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Association Executive of the Year, Arlene Pietranton.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you, Wes. Thank you, everyone at Association Trends, and thank each one of you who are here today. Like many of you, I have come to this event so many times over the years. I will say it is a different perspective looking out from up here, and it's one I'm deeply appreciative of. I'm really delighted to be in the company of today's other amazing awardees. I couldn't echo more firmly Edward's gracious words acknowledging the other awardees and Association Trends for putting on this event and for recognizing those of us who are receiving the recognition today. I personally, I really am filled. I'm actually overflowing with a depth of gratitude. My eyes are still teared over from my colleagues' amazingly generous comments. Thank you for that. I'm delighted that my family, my husband Frank, my two daughters, Ainsley and Kelsey, our friend John, are here with me today. I am indebted for their unfailing love and support and their often patience toward me. It's not, I can't say it's unfailing, but probably deservedly so. My ASHA colleagues, there's a bunch of you who are here today. You know, we are very proud of the fact that ASHA is a great place to work. And it is a great place to work because great people work there. So I am so thankful for the opportunity. I think it was perhaps Vicki, someone in that clip just mentioned a village, and it truly is a village. It's great to see so many fellow ASAE fellows, the wonderful thought leaders, the shy, quiet, retiring people that you are. Thank you for coming out today. And really to all of you, I am grateful to be part of this community that is so vibrant and so generous. As I stand here today, I am the 40th recipient of the Association Trends Executive of the Year Award. I'm feeling a bit unworthy as I look at the names of past recipients, but definitely honored to be joining their ranks. I know that several of our past awardees, Executives of the Year, are here, so I want to thank you for your wonderful role, being such wonderful role models and your inspiring leadership. So, you know, by background, I am a speech-language pathologist. I'm going to stay hydrated. For your sake and for mine. I'm also, in moments like this, I'm just so mindful of how incredibly lucky I am. And what a great measure of good fortune and a big dose of serendipity I've had throughout my life and my career journeys to date. So, you know, on a personal note, the serendipity of meeting the man who would become my husband of 35 years when I was out on a date with another guy who was a good friend of his. It's a true story. That guy's still a good friend of ours. The good fortune of a career in speech-language pathology that fulfilled my love of science and nurtured my desire to make a difference in the lives of others. And that led to some unanticipated opportunities, first in healthcare administration, and then eventually to working at my professional association, the American Speech-Language Hearing Association, ASHA. And the good fortune of being joined here today by the colleague and now longtime friend who is the brave person who hired me for my first association job at ASHA over 20 years ago, Stan Jablinski. Thank you, Stan. As I think about the continuum of my journey, it makes me think about the life cycle of organizations. Thank you again, Stan, the person who put that on my radar screen some years ago. There's different ways to look at it, but basically it's a trajectory where there's a birth of an organization, growth, maturity, and then the potential for decline and or death. So as we think about that, where do we stand as an association sector, as an industry of associations, if you will? I believe that associations have a long and notable history worldwide, particularly here in the United States, dating back to the establishment of the first U.S. associations back in the 1700s, the early 1700s, early in our country's birth. Over the years, associations have evolved in many ways, I believe to be the very embodiment and one of the key platforms for the exercising of our First Amendment rights, the freedom of speech, the freedom to peaceably assemble, the freedom to petition the government. Dave spoke to that in his comments a little while ago. And we know that the many ways that associations benefit society are formally and officially recognized through the not-for-profit tax status that we earn. I believe in the 2 decades since I've been part of this community that we have evolved in remarkable ways. And as a sector, I think we've reached a stage of maturity, evidenced by any number of things, chief among them the following 6 factors that come to my mind. One is the large and growing body of knowledge, documents, resources that codify our best practices and our research findings. A second is the safety and quality standards that we promulgate. They help to assure a wide array of products and services are safe and that professionals from fields ranging from accountants to zoning officials and truly, literally everything in between are competent to practice. Thirdly, the perhaps unparalleled generosity that we see in our community through the sharing of information, insights, learnings. We are a sector wherein the commitment to making a difference goes beyond our own organizational missions. It extends to helping and supporting one another across organizations. So how many of you today have been a mentor? How many have been a mentee? How many have received a resource, a document, a policy from a colleague at another organization? And perhaps most beneficial, how many of us have received a deeply candid learning from a colleague at another organization that saved us time, resources, or maybe a career misstep? I bet there's a lot of us shaking our heads. I also want to acknowledge another factor being our ability to work together, to wield more influence on issues of mutual importance, such as conveying the importance, the value of government employees attending our meetings, or as we saw earlier this year, working together to successfully uphold the fundamental elements of our nonprofit tax status. Fifth factor I'd like to acknowledge is we, as a community, collectively are the biggest provider, the largest provider, of postgraduate adult learning and professional development. Our efforts help to assure that workforces across practically all industries and professions are able to keep their knowledge and skills current. The sixth factor is that today, I truly believe many associations possess incredible capacity, reach, and impact in helping to change the world for the better. One example of which I could not be more proud has to do with ASHA, is ASHA's role in coordinating a coalition several years ago that successfully advocated for laws mandating that all newborns, all babies born in a hospital in the United States would have their hearing screened. As a result, children who are born with a congenital hearing loss are now identified at a matter of a few months instead of several years. I'm sure everyone in this room can think of an infant that you've watched progress through the developmental milestones of cooing, smiling when spoken to, uttering their first word. Now, think of how that child's parents would have felt if they had to wait more than a year to understand and find out why their child wasn't doing those things. or what they could do to help get their child on a path of healthy development. I'm very proud of the fact that ASHA was honored by an ASAE Summit Award for that work. And as I look around the room today at so many friends, colleagues, mentors from other organizations, I'm also aware of the similarly remarkable things that so many of your organizations have done, resulting in healthier meals in schools, safer water, more literacy programs, helping to build stronger small businesses throughout our country, better meeting the needs of veterans in hospice and palliative care, providing support, resources to help make sure that there are healthy, safe, and inclusive programs in organizations. And perhaps especially poignant at this time, advocating for safety in schools. And the list goes on and on. All of us, through and with our members and our organizations, truly do make this, I believe, a better, safer, and smarter world. And that's something which we all can and should be so very rightly proud of. So, as a mature sector, what can we do to help assure that associations continue to thrive in maturity and not fall into that stage of decline? What does the future hold for and ask of our associations and our association community? In thinking about this, I'm recalling Jay Timmons, who unfortunately isn't here today, his impassioned message from this podium when he was recognized as the 2016 Executive of the Year. He said that we all can and must speak out for what is right and good, and for those who don't think their voices matter. Jay reminded us that associations have a unique platform, and associations of the future must set the tone and take our advocacy to new levels. The reach of associations can, and perhaps even must, at this time, go beyond the professions and the industries we represent to more directly and intentionally connect to our larger society. That's where our members live and work. And that can help us to have a better impact on how our professions, our industries, our organizations can best serve society today and into the future. I think we really need to ask ourselves in a very thoughtful way, are we delivering the societal benefit for which we are granted this preferred tax status to the fullest extent that we can? Are we fulfilling our roles as 21st century First Amendment champions, platforms, and conveners? Because the responsible and effective championing of the precious freedoms that are granted to us, be they in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, any of the others of those 10 amendments to the Bill of Rights, they're not static. They evolve over time. The world is a very different place now than it was in 1791 when the Bill of Rights was first ratified. It was mentioned earlier, in an era where all too often there is such an entrenched stalemate among our elected leaders, and where expertise, knowledge, credentials, and yes, amazingly, even actual facts at times are increasingly challenged and mistrusted. Associations' ability to be the trusted resource, to bring people together, to collaborate meaningfully and effectively, I believe is needed more than ever. I don't think it's necessarily about doing more as much as it is about doing it better. There's a lot of things we could do in that regard, but three in particular, I'd like to offer for your consideration today. One is knowledge creation. What can we do to engage more of our members in the co-creation of ideas, knowledge, and resources? And perhaps even more powerful, how can we do it in a way where we can collaborate across our industries and professions, across associations, to involve broader wisdom, broader knowledge, energy of more disciplines to help solve some truly persistent problems? At a time when purpose and meaning are increasingly factors as to whether and where people choose to join, I think that could be a powerfully strong proposition. You know, when we only engage those whose knowledge and perspectives mirror ours, when we layer it on, we're already limiting how we look at things because we're only duplicating what we already have. It's when we extend those boundaries and when we look across industries and we take in different perspectives that we are likely to acquire new knowledge and be in a position to generate breakthrough insights. The second area I would ask you to think about how we can do better is in the area of diversity and inclusion. We've talked about this as a community for a long time. We need to up our game and walk the talk and make things happen. You know, from this podium last year, Dawn Sweeney, I know Dawn is here somewhere, one of my sheroes. Dawn urged us all to lift each other up, to remember the importance of mutual respect, the power of being our authentic selves, and the strength of building cultures of inclusion. The Me Too movement, I think, is a very sobering reminder of the extent to which the abuse of power and privilege continues to exist and unfortunately all too often go unchecked in our society. So what systems, policies, and practices can we put in place to better support, to better engage, and to truly demonstrate and walk the talk of valuing all individuals, no matter their gender, race, religion, place of birth, or any other factor? And we all know this. The deal is it's not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do, as has been documented by the many, many studies demonstrating the ROI of diversity and inclusion. The third thing I'll mention, just very briefly, is very simple, but so profound, and I think so lacking, so too often lacking in conversations today, and that is civility. So what can each of us do within our organizations, within our communities, to help make sure that we are cultivating authentic exchange, civil debate of ideas and information, so we can learn better with and from one another in search of the best options, the best solutions? Respect for one another is one of the oldest human axioms. It is codified in virtually every one of the world's major religions and every legal framework. And yet there's research that shows 26%, that's 1/4, 26% of workers, maybe some of you in this room, have left a job because it was an uncivil workplace. Our business is bringing people together. How can we as associations help to nurture, be a platform, be a learning ground, a place for practice for our members, for their workplaces, for our communities, and for society to truly engage in civil discourse? I don't know if she's here today, I haven't seen her, but I'd like to echo Susan Neely's words as the 2014 Executive of the Year. Susan reminded us that we all need to get out of our comfort zones. She told us that we can and must be consensus builders, and we must be examples of how to overcome disagreements and work together to get things done. And I think working with the American Beverage Association and being a survivor of the cola wars, I think Susan knows a little bit about that. So let me wrap up by saying, again, a sincere thank you to my family, to all of the friends and colleagues who are here for your ever-present support and your candor. It's important and I appreciate it. I am honored, truly honored, to serve as the CEO of the American Speech Language Hearing Association. I am so very proud of the remarkable work that ASHA staff and members do every day. I'm also deeply, sincerely grateful to be part of this community with so many smart, dedicated, mission-focused colleagues. I hope it's obvious I am really inspired by the countless ways that all of us here around the country, around the world. All of us who work in associations help to make this a better, safer, smarter world. And I am enthusiastically confident about where we are in that life cycle, and that we have the capacity and the will to stay at a maturity level and to reach back and continue to grow and evolve so that we continue to be a positive force for changing the world. As Gandhi said, we must all be the change we wish to see. So what change do you want to see? In your workplace, your members, in your organization, and in a larger society? And what will you do to make it so? Thank you again. Appreciate everybody being here.